Ladies and gentlemen, the day you guys have been waiting for, the first and first match of the playoff, the first day of the playoffs. It is round 1 of the SSL Playoffs, which unfortunately means we're one step closer away from closing out the league. But at least we have a good matchup here today. We have 13P versus Wild Boys Election. Finally, we're out of BO1 hell. We get a stream longer than an hour, and hopefully we go to all 3 maps, because all of these maps are all different testaments of challenges with different space, areas you can take, and different challenges that you can prove. Speaking of the maps, let's take a look at the venues that we will go to today. Wild Boys Election will be playing on 13P's map, which will be Border first, and then they will pick into Fortress, and a decider will be needed, and it will be played out on Bank if we get to the furthest mile. So it should be a long and fun day. I'm excited to see what these teams have in store for us, what they can put on the board to apply the pressure onto the other team. Otherwise, we might see a quick game, a little bit quicker than we might expect, and nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see a quick game of Siege. It's a BO3 for a reason. Everybody wants this game to finish as long as it possibly could take. But while we get these players set up into the lobby, you have a chance at getting yourself on the on-screen graphics by either putting a 1 to vote for 13P or 2 for Wild Boys Election. Participate, get yourself on the screen, and we'll be back when these players are ready to get themselves on the road. Finally, we make way into our game, ladies and gentlemen. If you are new to the stream, my name is Sino. I'll be doing everything behind the desk here for you today. We have Wild Boys Election versus 13P. It should be an absolutely amazing game. Now, unfortunately, I don't have access to the information if there is a coach present or not, so we're just going to have to use our imagination. Should be a fun time. I mean, playoffs, finally. The BO3s. Oh my god, you just, you don't understand how long I've been waiting to say those words. I mean, BO3s are just like my first love. You're able to watch Siege. You're not here until 3 a.m. in the morning, but you're also not leaving early. You just get the perfect amount. And for those of you who missed the pre-show, we have 3 maps ahead of us today. If we need all 3, we have Border Beginning, Fortress in the middle, and if we need all 3 maps, we will be going to Bank. So kind of a challenge of every form of combat on this map. So you have one that's a little bit wider, you have one that's more concise on the gunfights, and then you have a very, very delicate 3-layered map that needs to be addressed very, very well if you want to be able to find joy on it. So these teams will not be finding easy success if they're not bringing their A game here today. And remember, there's no double bracket, which means if you lose this game, simply, you're out. Now, I've only had the pleasure of casting Election once, and from what I've seen there, they were not coordinated. Given they were not playing with the full 5, I mean, I didn't see Yeshua at that point, and they also weren't playing with the same stack that you could expect the cannons from 13P. I mean, they were playing against the troll stack. I don't even remember the outcome, but I do remember it was just an absolute troll of a game. But at the end of the day, this is where you come to prove yourself. You have the BO1s to kind of troubleshoot, and the thing that matters is you made it to the playoffs. You're not top 4, obviously, because you don't have the bye phase, but you do make it, and it's better than not making it. So I think we have to look at a little bit of the breakdown between both teams here that finished before the group stage, right before they had 5 wins in regulation and 2 losses. 13P had an absolute amazing game and an amazing season so far. Let's see if they can back that up within. And then you have Wild Boys Election kind of spread out a little bit more evenly, going 9th with 3-0-1-3, and the differential kind of dipping into the negatives, but you do have your players to watch, being Wee Tirana on 13P and Desi AP on Wild Boys Election. So you're going to have certain ideas of what you want to see from these players. They need to perform and deliver right here and right now. Is he already playing a little bit aggressive? This drone could give away his location, and it does. The first player to watch takes out the other. Kind of poetic in a way, but Squared instantly wins it back and forces the case to drop as well. All three Selmas will be depleted before one is even thrown onto a hard wall, and a minute burned off the clock here. Economy for both sides kind of weakened because you lose that C4 from Bandit, but I mean, those Selmas, just impossible to kind of work without them. Yeshua getting one, but right now the Blitz getting double teamed, but not before he'll take a body to the grave with him. Squared gets his teammates refragged back in blood and reinforces off the rotate from Fountain to ensure that there's no double dipping that comes in from security. C4 tossed, a little overzealous, doesn't know exactly what the player is, so it's easy access to Shaltu. But Crispy, he's there for the refrag. It's a little too easy. WBZ Election with a convincing opener. All they have to do now is continue to substantiate this pressure, and I'm sure 13P will crumble. But remember, Border has a lot of ins and outs, and anything can happen. All that matters for either side is they maintain the pressure. Otherwise, the second one kind of falls behind, the other will swoop in and take all of that momentum for themselves. First round, a little bit faster than I would have anticipated, but that's exactly how you want to start off a BO3. You want the other team to know that you are not messing around. Hopefully these teams continue to go back and forth. I'm so excited to see Fortress. I mean, I know it's not in the overlay. We're kind of going for a sleek look, a modern look with the overlay. I feel like word of mouth is better than having it on the screen. Let me know if you disagree, because it's my channel. I get to kind of make and do whatever. So I'm kind of excited to see what these teams have to offer on Fortress, because arguably it is one of the best maps to enter Pro League in the comp pool. I don't care what anyone says. I love Fortress. Like, I can't even describe how much I love the map. I mean, it's so competitive. It forces teams to learn. It was so hated on its release, but now that teams are figuring out how to play it, they're starting to pick into it more, because they know you get an edge over the other team if you realize that you can exploit them by taking them to a map they're uncomfortable with. Now, Osa looking like the uncomfortable pick for 13P. See how they'll play this out. A little interesting to see how this kind of plays out in their favor, considering Osa is usually that hit or miss pick. Sometimes it can establish pressure, but usually get away with picking away someone else. Breach is going to be held down by Desi. Is it Desi or DZ? I should have probably asked. Frag grenade will 100% get rid of the first Bandit wire, but now you need to watch the crosses to ensure that no one swings out. Bandit would never think to do so, instead using the cover from his second Bandit charge. No attackers on a drone yet, so they know that there's somebody sitting somewhere. That C4 on the head of Wee, but lives to tell the tale. Thermite coming in for action will get the second kill. Now Bandit following up and succeeding on his second attempt, and Thermite was trying to get a refrag, but nothing of the sort. K9 now entering the building, just doing his prerequisites to ensure that nobody is kind of lurking in a corner to catch him off guard. 13P yet to break through the defense of WBZ. Now, they don't have Snake, they don't have Grip, yes, but you have the Dokkaebi. Use it. Don't be afraid to get a little ballsy, because you're losing so much time and you're down a player now. This is exactly where it matters. The first Jago payload will be delivered onto Desi. He'll eat it, which makes sure that he can no longer do anything. He can no longer be called, but it's a blunder from whoever is sitting in security. It's the Dokkaebi herself. You had the ability to take care of this player long ago, but he'll continue to run down precious seconds. Yeshua adds insult to injury by ridding of Donut. Now Yeshua will get rid of Shaltu, then K9. It's a 2v4, make it a 1v4. He'll come back to haunt you in your dreams. You didn't clear him out before, that's fine. He doesn't miss his shots. We Toronto will fall to Desi. Fell first last round, but has the last laugh on the second. Massacres all of 13P, and they go unanswered 2-0 to WBZ Election. understandably so, some frustration maybe in the vocals. I honestly wouldn't be shocked if there was some back and forth going on in the calls right now, but you need to be able to mitigate these circumstances. Wild Boys Election have brought their A game for the playoffs. They're on point, and you cannot let that shock you. 13P have already had an amazing season. They need to follow up and continue to apply the pressure. Otherwise, they'll fall behind and get left behind. And it's evident right now in the play style on how both of these teams are going back and forth. You'll have picks traded out once or twice, but ultimately, Wild Boys Election, through individual prowess, this time on the back of Yeshua, continues to just absolutely pressure these players into the point of no return. And that's not what you want to hear, especially with time just slowly but surely running down against these players if they lose the first map this one-sided. The star play with Denari. You rarely see that nowadays, but the play essentially is you stack as many Denaris as you can in a little star or a pentagram or, no, depending on. You hop in and you're instantly down. There's nothing you can do about that unless you've droned it out. And even then, if you misplace a nade, it'll just get eaten by the Denaris and you'll still take a substantial amount of damage. Maybe you don't go down, but it's just too much health to be lost to kind of call it a good sacrifice, and if it gets rid of a drone as well, it's also util sacrificing. So there's lots of clearing left to be done for 13P here, but their main objective is to get into Armory, something they've already struggled with twice now. Once when it was the main breach, and the second time around when it was being the extension of the vertical site. Now, in Bathroom, there's a lot to do, really. You've gotten rid of Vent, but Toronto finally giving his team the lifeline by getting first blood for it. Now you need to double down and continue to apply the pressure. Otherwise, you'll get caught in your tracks. But Valk going down, that's a C4 that you don't need to worry about. Now Donut upstairs to cause hurt. One of these players just looking for the black eyes, but is this supposed to be your main priority? There's a Denari you need to get rid of. If he gets one kill here, he's done his job. Glaive 12 comes out. Don't know what he was looking to achieve with one of the worst shotguns in the game. Shawl 2, Tiff go big with 1 and 2, establishing a 3-man lead. A very one-sided dominance with how they're playing this out. Now Crispy has live markers on him, cannot walk anywhere that has a soft floor, otherwise you'll have to deal with that revolver, piercing the floor and getting rid of so much easy damage. Now Deimos runs into Customs to get the cutoff. Now a player's waiting in waiting room as well to ensure that there's no easy rotations out. The pre-fire isn't enough to rid of Deimos. It only takes a point of damage, leaving Desi by his lonesome in sight. You'll get one, but can't get the second. The flawless narrowly avoided. Well, what does that mean if the round is thrown away? Wild Boys Election fall around, and the deficit is close to 1 round. Now, as the parameters fully reset, these players will be allowed to go back up to the site they won first. This meaning you guys are able to bring Mira after the third and final bans. We'll rid of a zombie instead. So one of the overwhelming superpowers will be on the board. 13P deciding no point man with a shield. They'll decide to go with the classic entry, whether it be an east over or apply pressure in from break room and try to take security. But the main idea right now should be not getting isolated. It was a large issue in how they were playing in the past, and if they can address this on the fly, they'll not only get around, they'll continue to be able to adapt to the playstyle of Wild Boys Election throughout each and every round, and that is very important, especially against a team that looks like they're getting better by the round. Hopefully this Wamai combo alongside with the Mira isn't too much for 13P to deal with. They have the Zofia, but the place where the common mirror angles go, you cannot hit the explosive impacts from below. Even with Zofia's most recent buff grabbing another impact, making essentially fragging from below a lot easier. It might be loved, but unfortunately, it can't break through bricks. Sixth pick will hop tip off whatever operator he was sitting on, and now he'll reside on Blitz. So kind of taking back that point man entry, they'll go back to what they were doing in the first round, which is use a shield operator to get into the building more. It was a very easy and very well-placed first kill, but it was very easy for that Blitz to get refragged. So you can troubleshoot that. If you can get rid of Yeshua without a player sneaking in from jail and just shooting your player in the back of the head, you can find some joy. Now the first Razor Bloom is detonated to no joy, no connections, but Blitz will be temporarily slowed down while the bullets will allow him to just slowly walk up. Can't sprint when you see that little circle above his icon. 40 seconds burned off the clock, and the Canadian head holes continue to become a problem for 13P to deal with. As time continues to just run down slowly but surely. Lots left to do, but really the question is, how much time do they have to do it in? A minute 50 left on the clock. Finally, the smokes will come out. Not a single player has walked into the building but the Dokkaebi, who's found access into East, and it may not be anything for her, but Juka comes to save the life, gets rid of Solus, but in the meantime, your shield op has also fallen. This is an issue. You need to continue to do something to get rid of this player. As time continues to tick down slowly but surely against these players, and they're going to continue to struggle. If they don't get a pick, that leans in their favor. Shaltu barely clinging on to life. More red than blue on his health bar. Now Zof doing the prerequisites to check Sui in the areas that a player could be lurking in that could be detrimental to the overall attacking force, but giving up Canadian wall as well as another barrier in between the attackers and these defenders. A beautiful defense right now from Wildboy's Election. This is obviously, very clearly, their strongest site with the way they're playing it out. Very one-sided. They have the places locked down, and the dynamics all favor them. Because time continues to slow down. And they still have mirrors up. They still have C4s up. They have the prioritization of util first, gunfight second. That's exactly what you want to see from any defensive side. Now Squared, thinking he's heard someone hop in, but false comm maybe has a second chance at life. Will decide to fall off, leaving just the ace to take archives, wasting both flashes and unaware that a player has already dropped. Now you've created a different issue as he can just fall down and wait for you to try to open up the breach and deny the plant. Now Yeshua, Crispy go big for 1 and 2. Getting into the red time. Not lots to do, guys. You need to make a decision. It needs to happen now. Barely missing the head of the player sitting fountain. Won't happen with the player sitting in the depths of beepers. 3 seconds to make something happen. You know what that is? Absolutely nothing, as Yeshua gets the first refrag but can't get K9. But it doesn't matter. 13P fall yet another round, establishing a 2-round deficit. And Wildboy's Election are continuously punishing them. A game to think about so far. Pressure might get to 13P, as this is not the team that I saw 7-1 another. But maybe that's just how playoffs do. Or maybe it's just the map. Or maybe it's the side on map. Let's see how it'll play out when the sides switch. If Wildboy's Election can take 2 rounds back-to-back to establish a 5-1 lead, I don't think it'll matter at all. Continue to apply the pressure throughout each and every round. I'm excited to see how they'll be able to kind of adapt on the fly maybe on the deficit, what they can do to kind of allow themselves to bring this back, because right now it's very one-sided. You have Yeshua going 6-2 within the server, applying so much pressure, allowing this to become so easy for a superstar to just kind of fly away with it. I mean, for as long as I've known the guy, it's been a couple of years now, when you let him heat up, he will not stop until you've lost. Hopefully not the case for these players. Shaltu looking apparently for a run out that doesn't exist right now, but it's better to be safe than sorry. Taking the sweet time to approach the site right now, and still all quiet on the western front. Now time continuing to kind of tick down slowly against these attackers, and again, I feel like their interest of time is a little bit slower than everyone else's. Their perception of how easy it is to get into the building is a little jolted, so might need to do some troubleshooting on the half. Maybe call a timeout, but something needs to change. Otherwise, could be a concerning half. If anything more than 4-2 is concerning to deal with. First Jago payload allows K9 to find Dax's way into offices alongside with the Twitch, but in the meantime, the Bandit opens up, and the Fountain Wall looks to open up as well. The players will peel off completely, but he gets stuck on the rotate, shot in the back of the head. Everything continues to pile on, but Wee saves his team by getting the first pick, and it's double down, but not for long. Des continuing to put in the pain, but Wee Tirana and Juka from the depths of sight look down into the hatches, make sure no one's there, so they'll isolate the player in arm rate. It's a little too easy, leaving just Crispy in a 1v3 situation. It helps that everybody is on the verticality, meaning if you can isolate, you can find joy. You can isolate. The only bad thing is he also isolated you as well and took your head off your shoulders. 13P closed the deficit down to 1, and they're approaching a common 4-2 split on border. I mean, if Wild Boys Election can take this home, it'd be a very one-sided affair and a very big upset, as the odds right now have 7 people voting for Wild Boys Election and 23 in the favor of 13P. If Wild Boys Election can do it, I mean, they can show everybody that they're wrong and they can get the job done, but it is all up to them. I mean, taking a look again at the match statistics pre-match, 7th to 9th. I mean, they closed together in the global standings by only 2 places. But the round differential says it all, by a lot more blowouts than usual, and a lot more regulation and overtime losses than 13P. So there's a lot to think about, but your players to watch, I mean, one has a 2.9 KD, and Desi, obviously not on the same caliber of KD, but right now still performing to keep his team in it. Both players to watch sitting on the exact same stats right now, just an assist that differentiates the two. Players a little late to the setup, but acceptable for a site like Vents just because of how much time it takes the attackers to drone in, covet the building, and then find an access point, establish a point of entry, force the pressure onto the players on those points of entry, and ensure that no one lurks behind them. So give them the benefit of the doubt right now, but time continues to run down on these attackers. Yet again, the spray almost lethal. 81D called in, will locate Donut. They know where Squared is, but he hasn't moved away to give a ping off. That siege timing as the Ash would have had the easiest kill, but looks away at the wrong moment to break off that barbed wire. Now, a general location is known for all of the defenders that are upstairs. The question is, do they know about that player who lurks in bathroom? It seems like the answer is yes, because they're making a rotate right now. Not Too oh my god. Inconspicuous. There we go. Sorry, I was like trying to take a deep breath to understand what the word was for a second, but third time's the charm. Approaching 90 seconds right now. First blood opened up by Shaltu from the depths of jail. That's a crazy angle to look at, but it's instantly met with a DMR to the head of your Lion. Now Donut taking heavy amounts of damage, but it's backed up by Squared. Rid of this player, you can get a kill back in blood, but no bueno. Guitarana stands up with the reloaded R4C and puts it to work. Now Jago Payload's delivering pressure onto the players that sit in offices. Beautiful right now. Doesn't even need it to detonate to take care of the player that sits in the depths. Now the last is in Africa. Don't even need the Dokubi. This is the 13P everyone knows and loves. They've woken up after being in a slumber for the first rounds. They've tied it up. Not good at all for Wild Boys Election. They need to mitigate these circumstances. Otherwise, a one-sided half on defense is going to be the case for 13P. This is their map. This is now their side. They've endured the hard part of it. And now they're given the idea to do whatever the hell they want. Shield Ops seem to be the common focal point into the weakness of 13P as they spend no time ridding of those players. That could be a problem. Safe to say I don't think we'll see any shield bans next season when the new operator drops from my home country. The Egyptian new operator who has a projectile that directly counters shield ops. Could become an issue right now for players that love Blackbeard and Monty. So this is your kind of TLDR if you didn't watch the spoilers to kind of learn a new operator before that new season drops. Otherwise, you'll be out of a job on entry with a shield, so keep that in mind. P now awake, fight or flight, and it seems like right now it's the former. They're putting in pressure, and right now Wild Boys Election, they're not looking like the players they were in the first couple of rounds. Yes, they were winning out beautifully, but it seems like it's been stopped in its tracks, and that's not what you want to see, especially with so much Siege left to be played. We're not even past the 1 hour mark yet. Oh, is this supposed to go on the windows? I've never seen it. I usually see it on the lamp. So when players kind of walk through, they continue to... Where is the lamp? Is this the Mandela effect? Where is the... Isn't there supposed to be a lamp here, guys? Am I tweaking? What? Now, Squared looking to enter with no backup, no intel, but the Soliton radar could put in a shift, but right now they're all backed up by jammers, which could become a problem. To kind of double down as well, there's also F-Knots making it a lot harder to find easy access into the building. Could be an issue here if these teams aren't aware of the areas that they can sit out without getting exposed. Now Shal2 playing Stewie Breach, getting rid of Yeshua first, a frag. Stops on the tracks of the door, and Squid gets shot in the side of the head as a consequence for getting too carried away without the backup of Yeshua. Global intel only left now. What's good if you can call a player, but you can't clear out the player that you would have used the shield operator. Time continues to become scarce. We've kind of been recognizing a trend here. The attackers kind of lose one body, or they can't get real estate in a part of the building too fast, so they kind of crumble at the seams, and it leads to too much swaying of the result. It's a little too easy to dictate the results here by just one player making a play. That play right now is Shal2 putting in a shift. They haven't even approached the site layers yet. They haven't peeled back the Sui Breach yet. he's just having a good old time rotating between offices in that single breach, just allowing himself to kind of go big on whatever, but not accounting for the break room cross. Now taking a lot of damage, not in critical condition yet, given another chance at life to hold out what he wants. Minute left. Jail yet to be cleared out. 2 players occupying that. 1 player below and the other 2 outside on the balcony. Soliton, Radar, and Jammer will connect, but Shaltu has the protections of sight. You guys need a pick so badly right here. Otherwise, the site is so compromised, and to make matters worse, you'll lose another player. K9 is on a triple kill. Can he find his quad? Yes, he can. On the flawless round. 13P. They're coming for you, Election. And right now, it looks like you're electing not to respond as they'll take the lead for the first time since this matchup has started. Lots left to be done. You guys need to find a response right now. Three rounds back to back for 13P, and they continue to apply the pressure, and Wild Boys Election have seemingly made no adjustments to their tactical style of play. Kind of adjust to that style. Hopefully things will adjust themselves by the graces of those Siege Lords. Otherwise it might be a very one-sided result before we go on over to Fortress. But curious to see how 13P continue to apply the pressure, if they have a game plan or if they're just flying in head first, hoping for the best. Either way, it's getting results, and it's getting results fast. And they can continue to do this with absolutely no punishment whatsoever. But seeing the glass come in, I assume we have a different playstyle coming in from Wild Boys Election. Hopefully that's the style that allows them to maybe win a round out. Could have had Shaltu on skates, really. Sees the first Vulcan. I assume he sees the second as well. No ticks of damage taken, but he'll get met with a TCSG to the skull. Head's blown off his shoulders. Unfortunate. You have a DMR, but his slug shotty is just better. As you can only sit back, give the comm, and hope your team can avenge you later in the round. Otherwise, you're just stuck on cams for this game. As they play a very classic playstyle, they don't really seem to care. What happens? They sit in a corner, and they just wait. Now looking for the drone to present itself to easily rid of the utility. But Yeshua finally getting an easy pick bottom west main and rid of Witarana, giving his team that lifeline that they desperately needed to swing things back into their momentum. Could be looking for site entry here. A big if button maybe, considering the IO scanner is still up and there's no Thatcher. I've seen Juka fall as well, and finished. Could mean a lot right now for Wild Boys Election to continue to go for the snowball effect. Now the Razor Bloom going off gives away the location of the player that touches down in sight. They're waiting for the plant indicator to be heard, or for the IO scanner to trigger for the Solus to get to work. You need to rid of the player that sits 90 so you can freely roam across the site. But you continue to lose the players and the plant looks to go down. You need to deny it now if you want a chance to be able to win this out. Seemingly can't. A 1v3 situation with all positions covered. One upstairs, one on your direct cross, and one sitting in sight. It's siege timing, but he'll whiff, and he'll get punished for allowing himself to get away with that. Now you know that you tried countering that and it didn't work out for you. You thought Flores was on the vert, but he understands just as well that that's an impossible angle to deny. Reads into it perfectly, and Wild Boys Election are able to tie it up to win their first and 3. Not the result 13P expected when they first started their comeback. And this proved to be a form of kind of rejuvenation of their energy to continue to apply the pressure onto 13P. If so, we could begin to see a little bit of a fight back to stay on this first map a little bit longer. Sure do hope so. Fuse, the pick that stands out to me the most, considering it'll be a little bit harder to kind of get upstairs in the first place. The question is, what are you going to be able to do when all the pressure comes crumbling down on you? Are you that confident in your play style to be able to take the time, clear upstairs, and play clusters as well, especially when this site is very dependent on verticality and running of the planter. Now the solos may have not worked out, but it looks like the response to that will be bring more shotguns. But Squared opening it up and getting rid of Juka is his response to the question that was presented just a second ago. If he found that second, it could have been detrimental to the overall integrity of the hold, but still, taking out Malusi out this early on could be an indicator the pressure might be a little too great upstairs and some players may have to fall back down. As Tiff is stuck on E stairs right now. No Kiba barriers to help out. Just a T5 and a Legion looking to get the job done here. Choke point established as they know there's a player east. But Tiff reads into it. K9 gets another one as well. Hold on. They're here to continue to fight back. You thought you had him in a choke point, but he was born for this. Gets rid of all of the players that were applying pressure in the first place. Now you'll have to deal with Yeshua. If you get rid of him, you also force the case down. You'll get rid of Donut as well. One player has thrown a wrench into the overall plans. Oh my god, Tiff! You can't just do that! Come on! Show some restraint! Massacres the entire team in one area of the map, and they have no response. 13P, one round away from the match point. And they're going nuclear. Solus being banned out for what I can only anticipate was the read-in on the verticality hold from 2 rounds ago. But that's not the reason they lost that previous round. The gunfights are so easily being lost by Election. They're just being isolated too easily, and they're paying the price each and every single round. They decide to wait. Now we'll head back upstairs. Hopefully a team is able to break through the first layer of defense. Otherwise, it'll just be what we see all the time. Teams just going back and forth on the exterior of the site until the attacking team goes down. Or unless the timer expires on them, which honestly is 2 outcomes worse than the last. Highest fragger within the server right now, K9, has broken double digits. He looks to continue to apply the pressure throughout each and every round, and is doing so exceptionally well. Sticks on a roll, whether it be trap or flex, and continues to apply that pressure until he's dead or until he's killed the entire team. 2 highlight rounds for him so far being on Armory and the second round on attack. And they've really been able to apply the pressure throughout each and every round. They can continue this track of momentum. They might be able to close this out a lot faster than they would have thought. Now Squared, no longer on the shield, but will be on the same entrance he was with Glaz. Ridding of that Goyo canister. Now 20 seconds to drop a plan before they both expire. Umai his intel is now caught out that he's sitting in the corner of Archives, can continue to apply the pressure, but realizes there's one drone. But do you see the contingency plan of the second drone that is in the shelf below it? Seemingly the answer is no. Now, first blood drawn by Shaltu, but Squared finds himself in offices somehow. And the team needs to be able to adjust, just gets out of dodge. And Crispy follows up by ridding of K9 as well. I mean, you cannot reassign those F-Nots. Somehow you've allowed Shaltu to get away. Yes, we won't let that happen twice. But right now, you could just rip that down, Tiff. If you guys didn't know, you can rip down barricades with Vulcan canisters on them and they will not detonate. So lots of health lost for a sacrifice that he thought was worth it, but was not needed. Now the players know how scarce this round is to the overall integrity of their pacing during this round and to the match point itself. If they lose a body here, say goodbye to a secure post plant. Witarana gets rid of Squared. But in the meantime, another player will try to take another part of the site, but he'll fall alongside with the case. Des, you have such a tall order ahead of you. Can you isolate? Health, slowly but surely being shredded off. A minute left on the clock here. The case in a Neverlands. And the health loss was position exposed. You have one task ahead of you, and it's to win out a 1v2. Luckily for you, it's isolated right now, but you can't get past the first barricade. 13P continue to apply the pressure. And WBZ Election had one round where it showed that they could respond to it, but no longer. Match point for 13P as they continue to apply that pressure, and they get better as the rounds go on. Archives bathroom. Now, the next site and potentially the last of this game. So much left to do for WBZ Election to prove themselves on. They may not have enough time to do it in, to be honest, because it's just too easy to get isolated, and 13P continue to take that to the kind of extreme as well. I'm pretty sure 2 or 3 of these players are based in the EU, which means they're taking gunfights at maybe 100, 125 ping. I'm pretty sure the 2 guys who are top ranking, I think the 2 EU people are K9 and Witarana, and they're the ones who both have double digits on their team. Dire consequences for this round if it's lost out here. No extension. As a soft roam seems to be more of a credible idea, and I'm interested to see how they'll kind of play this out. (13P) could end it right here, and it looks like they're anticipating for a quick plant, which doesn't look like they'd be half wrong, but a Candela is used to draw the attention of the defenders, but there's no rush to come because it's not the main idea. All the attackers reprioritize their resources to upstairs to rid of any players that reside on the floor. Establish the pressure and gain control of the hatch, but doesn't go according to plan. As Shaltu also now breaks the double digits by ridding of the player that sits on east. Now, needs a Jago payload. If he takes this, he may fall. But the pressure, what pressure? As K9 delivers a C4 to the front doorstep of the player that was looking to rid of him. Now the time continues to tick down here, and 13P looks to have put this team in an impossible situation, but Desi's fed a kill to give his team that hope, that pressure that they needed, and that bodies will get evened out. As now, they'll gain cams temporarily. The next Jago payload will be established for a player that sits on Fountain, seemingly playing in a suicide position to establish a choke point, where any player that challenges this has to deal with a shotgun up front. not ideal in the slightest, and you may have to waste a Selma charge to establish a good form of pressure. The question is, how much time do you have to do it? Because you're getting closer to a minute now, and all of these defenders are coming upstairs. If a single drone is upstairs and you realize that this pressure is completely upstairs, you can completely reestablish your idea of what site is and go direct. Now, Desi, rids of K9. You get 2v3 situation, and we Toronto to get isolated by the Jago payload. It looks like Yeshua knows that he's isolated. He has the easy access point into the site here. Now, a round that could have been easily won out for this team makes itself a lot harder. But we Toronto has something to say about this. Has been his team's easiest, best player, and could win this out. But Desi says no. The SMG-12, too powerful a weapon to contest with that much health. As 13P have another round to prove themselves before we go into OT, as Wild Boys Election are clinging on to dear life on the first round. Map. First map. You're only given so many chances before you have to close out a map. You had one, and now this is your second. If you can't close it out here, then I don't know what to tell you guys. It may be wraps as you go into overtime, and Border is not a forgiving map on OT. The pressure just continues to amount, but a great playstyle from Wild Boys Election to realize that all the players were exhausting their resources to hold upstairs, and they just had one player go downstairs, so it didn't look too suspicious. From there, he funneled into the site. Almost lost the round, but I mean, that's how you established a 1v3 for yourself, and it paid dividends. Dokubi has been a complete asset to this team to establishing certain areas of pressure. So far, 13P, sometimes they respond to it, but others, where they feel like they're cornered, they go out swinging, and sometimes it's less needed than others, making their deaths a lot more preventable than they would assume. Without touching down on site, and the only player on her team to do so, it will be We Toronto with the C4, so could pay off, but Twitch is also providing intel while also giving comms out and shocking anything that presents itself. Now Crispy going for a plant. Hello, where are we, guys? Juka tries to do something about it, but the C4 lands on the front doorstep. It's EMP'd out the sky. We Toronto finally gets rid of the planter, but there's about 18 crosses established onto this case. There's nothing you can do here. We are going to overtime unless somebody can pull off a miracle. The Jago payloads are being added as insult to injury. Squared continuing to deliver pressure on that window. Now verticality also established as well. Can you log arm this? It's a question that has to be answered by our TCSG because there's absolutely nothing that you could do. Wild Boys Election. A burst of pressure as they recognize site is just so free that they'll blitz it twice in a row, and they'll find themselves in succession both times as they'll go to OT, and 13P need to go back to the drawing board. Otherwise, this map might be Wild Boys. Not what I was expecting, especially from a team with 13-piece caliber. But anything can happen in playoffs, and right now it's evident in the playstyle that we're seeing. They just continue to add back-to-back pressure, and 13P continue to absolutely destroy any site setups by going vert and not expecting the attackers to read into the farce, and right now they have. Now the strategy I like to call the 3 big booms, where essentially just nading things out from below on crack gets any player the easiest kill of their lives if they can deliver it correctly, but just misses a sliver, but it still gets rid of so much health that he is forced to reset the phone here, otherwise he falls. So Tiff will be 100% under pressure for the entire round, because if you fail to pick up the phone just once, you'll be blown up into oblivion. These players need to rid of the player who sits on the armory wall, and they'll find joy. Now, Witarana gets an OTS to the face, and now Squared, you have the easiest second kill. The question is, do you know that Tiff is here? Because he's just chilling, and nobody seems to know, as he just continues to take his time. You need to answer this call or suffer the consequences. Squared inching closer and closer to the door, but it's too easy for him to get fed that kill. So much left to do, but Shaltu tries to help his team, but it's just a sinking ship. Donut takes care of Juka, and Wild Boys Election have the craziest comeback on their hands right now from a game that was so one-sided, so paced to one lopsided area, to a team that looks like they're crumbling at every single chance they get. Maybe it's time to call a timeout. Maybe it's time to sit back and relax, because right now, you're going on to lose 4 rounds in a row. If you lose this upcoming round, you not only do that, you also lose the first map and go to Fortress 1 down. Hey, look, 6-7. I'm not a grown man yet. I can make 6-7 jokes. We'll head back upstairs for the potential last round, something I said 4 rounds ago, before this absolute heater of a comeback presented itself. So now this team continues to just go back and forth. Each round more fierce than the last. They continue to apply the pressure. Hopefully, 13P have something to say on their attack. Otherwise, that's over. Anything like their previous holds upstairs, we might be able to see some very, very well-played action by Wild Boys Election. This is arguably their best site, so to take this as their final venue, this could be the best possible circumstance for them to end out this map. Jago payloads have been an absolute pain in the side for both teams to deal with. The newest update upcoming to this season, to be able to counter with Mute and Tubaro, making them two very viable operators to now bring. But as of now, you're just going to have to deal with it. Now health just being slowly shorted off of these two attackers. Not sure how. I know Toxic Babe and the Gas Pipe both had a helping hand in taking the damage off of two of these players, but also some bullets may have hit. The air jabs cut off the angle on the triple swing, but these players are relentless to continue to just shave off the health. This has been a problem that has been continuous for 13P, dealing with the players that sit in offices, the Sui Breach, and the players that sit on metal. Just continue to become a problem throughout each and every round. Logic Bomb, or Jago Payload rather, Ian by Donut, meaning he cannot be called for the rest of the round, but kept Prince of Yeshua as the first pick. Not what you expect to happen, especially with this much site fortification. Squared, sits close. The attackers continue to advance without him. Has the ability to get the easiest kill, provided he just gets out of dodge now. To tie things up is to sit back and relax. You have a C4, a fully protected mirror, and nothing to get rid of you. Now Desi, Grids of Wheat to run up, but the Jago payload may be a little bit difficult for Squared to deal with in this position. But in the meantime, another TCSG kill as that player goes down, but Shaltu goes big with 2, hold on. Could be the lifeline they needed to go to all 15 rounds. Just below a minute on the clock here. Payload put on Desi's phone, and the Toxic Babes are going to be put on metal, meaning everything is focused on the beepers area. No one is looking at the H chassis yet. One individual play could happen. You can make a rotate off the head holes. You could isolate. But right now, the factor of a player going below to C4 could mean life and death between the ending of this round. K9 just runs in to isolate the smoke. It seems like they know he's off site. A beautiful pinch between the two. Desi, you're gonna have to troubleshoot now that they know. Deciding to plant on the bricks. You're in a pseudo 1v1 while this time continues to run down, but you don't know where the plant's going down. C4 goes into oblivion, no connection. One player's already outside. Take your chances with the one insight out of absolutely nothing. 13P pull a miracle out of their hats. We need all 15 rounds to decide a victor for Border, as they're both just going nuclear. Last sight, 13P on the defense. Oh, you guys need a miracle. So much left to do. Not enough time to do it in. Let's see how you guys respond to the pressure that continues to amount on your backs. This is a round for the ages. Oh, take deep breaths for these players. Everybody on 13P has broken double digits, except for Juka. Wallbang, centimeters away from getting rid of that first player. Actually, narrowly close, as Yeshua almost had his head shot off, but assuming he's behind brick protection. 30 seconds off the clock, and both teams just doing their prereqs to kind of run down the clock. find themselves in a situation where they continue to establish pressure onto each other. Ridding of the utility seems to be the main idea here for Election. Crispy losing a good amount of HP, so much left to do. Now, a minute burned off the clock here, and right now the attackers have nothing to show for. You guys fought so hard to get to this point in time. Need to be able to respond with something, as right now you're just being caught off guard. There's absolutely zero response. Hopefully you find an alternative. Otherwise, this map might be over. But the 10-man count, anything is possible. 90-second marker, and still yet nothing has happened. Both these teams continue to just go back and forth, trade damage, but it's ultimately Wild Boys Election to open up first blood. But look at how much health is being lost. But they've just found sight, guys. You guys need to troubleshoot, otherwise the plant's gonna go down. Squared, planting the diffuser, seems to have been heard. You need to be able to get rid of these players eating the payload. Now Yeshua is easy to rid of the player. They don't know where the plant's going down. This is the third time Wild Boys Election have planted out of the blue and found joy all 3 times. Tirana doing damage control, but a mere impossible situation to deal with, as this map is over. There's nothing you can do in this situation where you're barely alive. Dokubi's waiting for the payload. The shield operator still on the board, and they have sight in the grasp of their hands. An upset as 27 people thought 13P had first map in hand and only 3 believed in Wild Boys Election. And that doubt made them play with absolute ease as they continue to apply the pressure. And they'll take the first round in an upset in the first map for themselves in OT. Not what you would expect, especially from a 6-4 match point, but at the end of the day, Wild Boys Election proved us wrong. They showed us what they have in store, and now they go on to Fortress with their heads held up high. Let's see what they can do on this next 2-storied map, similar to Border. Follow if you're enjoying, grab a quick refresher, and we will be back after a swift break. Map 2, upcoming Fortress. WBZ Election coming off of a heater of pace after absolutely upsetting on that overtime. They were down 6-4 and they came back to win it 8-7. That's not right. I don't know why it looks like that. We do not have 18 maps to be played today. It should update soon. Please? No? I feel like it has something against me today. But we have 3 maps. We don't have 15. We have Fortress coming up next. It should be a great time. Make sure to get your votes in. We'll start as soon as possible when these players are started and ready. It's weird when your graphics are against you, but hey man, it happens from time to time. That's where you gotta kind of forgive and forget. We're back. That's all that matters. Fortress on the board. WBZ Election currently have the lead. It's currently series point. All they need to do is win this one, and we are good. Could be the upset. Let's see how this will play out. Excited to see how this will play out for these players, considering that first win, that first overtime win, double OT, must be electric to feel. Let's see how it'll play out. Fortress, arguably, in my opinion, one of the best new maps to comp. It's just so fun to watch, dude. Come on. You cannot tell me otherwise. It's so entertaining. It makes you want to watch Siege. It is new, it is innovative, and it forces players to adapt on the go each and every single round. And that, in my books, is what makes it legendary. First Sight will head upstairs and Mira will still remain on the board. 13P seems to already have the strat book picked out here as they really don't want anybody touching the mirrors by banning out the Twitch, and the floor is to protect the Kiba barriers as well. This being Wild Boys Election's pick, they'll be starting off on the lesser preferred side. My God, this is what speaking for an hour and a half without break. But starting off on the opposite side, the main idea for these players should be to approach a 4-2 split, get as many things out the way as possible, and then from there you're kind of able to kind of sit back, relax, and run the clock down. Like the old tower side is the main idea to clear things out, but having to deal with these players already, there's a lot of different holds that you can go through when you continue to apply the pressure. Old tower is obviously one of the main points, but sometimes teams get a little overzealous, get carried away, and sit in games for too long, which allows teams to get isolated, and it picks apart the site's integrity. But that's not an issue. K9 opens it up, gets rid of the first player, and looking to get rid of the Monty as well. Both impacts missing, but he's making sure that his pre-fires can connect as he continues to apply this pressure, and his team is there to help him. A shell to rids of Yesh. K9 onto squared. A 5v2 in the first 90 seconds. That's not too promising election. It's crispy. Gets one in response to take care of the player with the regenerative ability. But nothing is promised. So you have two players, one being a shield. Not too helpful. But hopefully you're able to mitigate these circumstances. There's a minute left and you need to be able to make a miracle happen if you want to be able to bring this back. Now time slowly but surely running down. Assault on radar pings out two players live, forcing them back into sight, but the rotate still non-reinforced, which means there's still so much pressure that you can apply. If you kill the player that sits in briefing, you can do so much with this rotate open. You no longer need a hard breacher, you just need a viable weapon, good crosshair placement to use. Now it looks like Monty will mitigate the circumstances, kind of try to navigate. Shall 2 rids of Crispy, meaning Monty is the one that is by himself. ADSs and can't even get rid of Shall 2 as his head is chopped off his shoulders. As 13P open up the first round of the second map with a near flawless round. All they have to do is continue to manifest this progression throughout each and every round if they want to find themselves on bank on the decider. If you are enjoying the broadcast, be sure to drop a follow or subscribe using !Prime if you have, to which Prime it is free and it does support the broadcast. These graphics are generated by me, they're handmade, and sometimes even hand-drawn. Oh God, we don't want to go back to those days. Hand-drawn graphics were absolutely terrible. But make sure to show love to the stream if you are enjoying so far. Now, 13P have the ability to continue to take the lead and run with it because of how well established these bans are. You have Wild Boys Election, who opted to just get rid of the wall denial, so they didn't have to worry about that. But in turn, they left all of the denial ops on the board, and that makes so much more pressure to deal with when you approach the site, and not having Twitch and Flores makes it so much harder to be able to kind of get rid of these players without having to manually get involved. Gas pipe not being popped could actually get rid of the shield if it's in close enough proximity. But not too sure, would have to see that in effect, but to see 4 players huddled up top of courtyard, it could mean that maybe a direct take on Old Tower isn't the main idea here, and Wild Boys kind of innovating to catch these players on the back heel and force the mistakes out. A minute burned off the clock, and still all quiet on the western front. Much to really talk about here. They're kind of just getting themselves set up for a proper and established take here. Understandably so, as Donut rid of Shaltu by being placed perfectly to wait for a flank or for a player to try to go for a flank. And now going to the only soft part of the site, which he can play vert from below and try to get the 3 big booms off. Maybe find a kill. 1 minute on the clock, and these players need to do a lot if they want to be able to establish some form of pressure, especially going down a man that has the Vulcans already placed. So it's not a full loss, but still, just having that gun could mean the difference maker between winning around and losing it out. Now 1 player still lurking on the window, looking to apply this pressure. 40 seconds remain. Still the advantage for Wild Boys Election, and it makes me eat my words as Juka falls, and so does Reiki. Ramira barely avoids death by hopping on the billiards table before the floor is blown out. As now 20 seconds remain, and Election have so much left to do. Not enough time to do it in. The sub, Breaky, has not been finding any joy so far. They need to be able to break through this site. Somebody needs to make a mistake, and somebody does. Guess what's being fed. The players are dropping like flies, but it's still a 2v2. And you only have 4 seconds to plant. The player just eats the flames. The flashes come in, but guess what? There's a Wamai disc. Nobody can put the case down. And 13P take the second round convincingly yet again. Not the outcome you expect when you see the first blood go in the favor of 1 player, but ultimately the decision making continues to just tick down against them. That's the reason why nobody was able to pierce through the site, and it leads to a round loss. Hopefully 13P are able to continue this streak, because if they are, that means map 3. If not, Wild Boys Election come back and may continue to apply this pressure. Snake surprisingly has survived a lot of ban phases. I think 3 out of the 4 on both maps that we've seen so far, which is a little concerning in the intel game, making it a lot easier for these players to just take as much progression of the map as possible without having to worry about intel as long as there isn't a mute on the board. Kind of intrigued to see how this will kind of play out. I mean, you have to be aware of where your shoulders and toes are peeking out. As Squared goes down, hasn't been able to find joy this entire game. Wild Boys Election looking like a shell of themselves as 13P are just running circles around them. Not too much to say, to be honest. I mean, they're just getting outplayed and massacred at every single turn that they're provided. Now 90 seconds left to kind of make something happen, and Yeshua rids of Shell too. Night and day difference with the absence of top fragger on Wild Boys Election. We Toronto now doubling down, gets another pick to tip the scales back into the favor of 13P as they maintain a one-man advantage as this entire game remains. Question is how they can continue to apply that pressure. Otherwise, might see a lot less onto the site. Time slowly but surely just ticking down against these players. Question is there a flank? Is there a lifeline? We Toronto says no as he continues to pick apart this attack. Nothing to expect as this team continues to just get stopped turn after turn. Crispy goes down as well, leaving just Yeshua. A near flawless round. The player who hadn't been able to find joy last map is going nuclear now. Juka's having a blast. The Rio was Wild Boys Election. I don't know what's going on. But you guys need to wake up. Otherwise, this series may not last long. This map might be over fast and the next even faster. Surprisingly enough, that might be the first ever console timeout I have ever seen, but called in the right moments because anything past this area means you can no longer be tied or winning. You go down 4-0, that means you can end the half 4-2, 5-1, or 6-0. There's nothing better than that. By calling it now, Wild Boys Election have the ability to be able to call something, try something different that could maybe, just maybe put them up at level, and 3-all could be where they work backwards. Now 13P continue to apply the pressure as each and every round just becomes better and better for them. It's just a safe haven. They're just having a great old time, relaxing, sitting back, and just forcing this team to really adapt to their circumstances. Despite this being Election's map pick, it really doesn't look like it, as there's really no indication that this team has an idea of what the next steps are to be able to establish some form of pressure. Hopefully that timeout is the greatest speech that we'll ever hear come from a captain. Otherwise, the comeback is real, and 13P look to take this to the third map. starting to lose my voice. I mean, thought I could hold on a lot longer than this, but just casting 4 days in a row does not really help. I'm trying, guys, I promise. First touch of damage will be done through barbed wire. It'll only take 5, but pressure continues to amount onto the site here, but still all quiet in terms of what to see. But Spider-Man mean kind of kicks in as Monty meets with the Clash. A little bit of a fourth wall break, because now Juka can walk up and progress with absolutely no fears that he can get isolated, as there's a Nomad, but there's no more flames to deal with on the gas pipe now. Tiff giving away his life quite easily. The site's completely opened up to hit now. Clash going mobile on the shield and deciding to get a little aggressive. The flank going down. She crosses right back to the window. That goes past the flank watch. It's so easy, but the plant will go down by the skin of their teeth. And Freaky is there to call the shots, to clean up the flank. Could have been disastrous, but the Clash goes down after a heroic effort to stop it. Now the time continues to tick down, and a post-plant situation like this, you just want to take your time, pick off these players one by one, and that's exactly what will happen. Election find their first round in the middle of the action, and they continue to apply the pressure until 13P crumble, and this could be the beginning of a comeback. Echo Shoddy hasn't been seen in a while, but it will be brought for the circumstance of denying the plan, hopefully. Clash learning from the mistakes of the pressure of that gas pipe just building up next to her, so she'll shoot it out. Now they'll be able to build up so much more. Hopefully be able to mitigate those circumstances a little bit faster, because it was kind of disastrous there. Juka 6-1, and it's crossed that 6-1 marker, just doing what he wants. Donut goes down first. That's not really great, to be honest. I'm a donut hater. I mean, he does hate donuts. He's at 1. Technically, that's a baguette. Not really what you expect to see. I'm really trying to understand what's going on here. Somebody almost just died to fall damage. Yeshua barely alive. Breaky almost falls in the process of trying to get into the area of the site. 90 seconds. And time continues to kind of tick down against them. And they've lost a body. Make that 2. 13P strike back literally right after absolutely nothing. They had one absolute glamorous round, and it's instantly undone. Now Yeshua has 5 bodies circling, and a flawless round prevails. 13P now take a 4-1 lead, and if they win this next round, they could advance on to the match point of this game in less than 30 minutes. Now, the second time they'll head on to this site could potentially mean pressure continues to amount. But right now, for Wild Boys Election, there's just too much pressure in terms of the Vulcan canisters and util frying them down. Even the smokes are too much for them to handle. I do hope that this is a round where they can kind of call their bluff and go for a 4-2 split. Otherwise, 13P might have to grasp on this series after this sub is switched in, as already Breaky had big shoes to fill, but right now just can't find joy in the slightest. That does not help. That's Caster's Curse. I mean, Caster's Curse, but positively, as Reiki gets Juka. Now, not the first pick you want to be seeing is Juka. He's 9-2 right now. Wasn't having a great time on border, but had been continuing to fry out. That time continues to run down here, and see how this will play out here. Continues to slowly but surely tick down. Now Yeshua follows it up, and this could be that round that they could possibly get. Now the Blitz goes down after the Toxic Babe, plus everybody else just shave off his health. Tiff goes down, leaving just Shaltu in a site-adjacent room by his lone sub. So much left to do, and a 4-2 split seems to be the idea as Crispy delivers that final blow. That's the lifeline they needed to be able to establish something out of the blue. But right now, with there's still such a tall order ahead of them, let's see how they'll be able to mitigate these circumstances. Shield Ops looks like we're going to go for a very similar second ban phase, as I'm really just trying to get an insight on how these teams look to play, as everything seems to be very linear with Wild Boys Elections play. When they see one thing doesn't work, they try to pivot, but they get caught on that backstop a little too easy. 13P has taken full advantage of that many a time, and they're still yet to troubleshoot. But post-half will go down to the first floor, as Wild Boys Election choose that to be their first idea of their defense, and I'm excited to see how they'll play it out. Now, I understand that Infirmary plays out in a very, very similar way for most teams. You try to hold vert, or you don't really try. You kind of send somebody upstairs, make sure they don't play the easiest verticality of their lives, make their lives a living hell clearing the roamer, and then you extend out horizontally, whether it be into Hammam or you sit into an area adjacent to the bathroom and run out the clock. Right now for this team, though, it looks like reinforcing another hatch. I've never seen the second hatch get reinforced. So the one on top of the site, default, but the second could mean that there's a player that's going to be extended out a lot further to continue to waste out the time of these players. They try to clear out layer by layer. Squared could be the single focal point right now that these attackers have to deal with. That could be a big issue. Time slowly but surely just ticking down and nothing really presenting itself. This game's a lot slower paced than what Border was. I mean, kind of what you expect, especially on a map like Fortress, a little bit larger than Border. Well, not even a little, significantly larger than Border. But at the end of the day, I mean, what do you expect with shields getting banned out and time just slowly but surely starting to run down? Just seems to be non-applicable to these players. Now Vreki rid of Shaltu, and time continues to run down. Could this be the comeback of Election? As they have so many areas in the building established for themselves, and there's absolutely no pressure on them to give those positions up anytime soon. But K9 finally gets a pick back in blood. Was one of the top fraggers in the previous matchup. Going to have to act a little bit faster because your blitz is isolated right now, but will back up to save his own life. Time slowly but surely ticking down against these players. Something needs to happen right now. K9 getting a feel for the area of Infirmary, realizing there's an F0, so can't take that gunfight directly, but that magnet had to have drawn in that frag to rid of it. Seems like the answer is yes. These two players isolate beautifully to rid of them, but Yeshua and Squared go big for 1 and 2. They'll get rid of 2 players back to back, and to make matters worse, the wallbang will connect with the Snake's Head, leaving just 1 player all the way in the depths of bathroom, and it looks like the defenders have a general idea of where he is, but it doesn't matter. They're not going to care because the diffuser is left loose in the middle of Infirmary. Not much to do in a situation like this, but bait out, try to isolate, and call it a day. Otherwise, this could be an issue that they're going to have to stay concerned with for the remainder of the matchup. Election closing this gap down slowly but surely, as 13P have lost the spark that they've had in their defensive half, and that is how Fortress likes to play out. You like to establish a 4-2 lead, not because you want to, but because of how defender-sided this map really is. They'll close down the deficit to 1, and I'm getting flashbacks to Border. Finally, it looks like these teams are starting to wake up on how to play this out and the areas of pressure that force one another to... Okay, he's just spinning. All good there, buddy? Oh. Oh, I thought he just broke the 4th wall for a second. As you can see, there's very different playstyles in how both of these sides like to take things up with each other. Whether it be run the clock out play C4. There we go. I've never seen that before. You always learn when you watch a Fortress game, and that's why I love this map so much. Nothing established yet for either side as they both look for an easy kill, but none will kind of present itself to them yet. I say yet with an emphasis on it because you never really know what's going to happen in these games. I mean, the rounds you think are going to go one way, they just tilt the other really quickly. It's all very dependent on who gets first pick, and in this round, it'll be 13P. Losing briefing this early could be a disaster, but if you reinforce off briefing, it could end up to be an asset instead. Juka knows how important it is to get rid of the electrifier that sits on that breach, so you can use the collateral damage of that breach to continue to establish pressure. Now, the EMPs cannot find the electric claw in time. If Cade picks it up here, they can just continue to trick this out. I've never seen Heddles on the right side, but it works out in this situation. They continue to apply the pressure, and there's still no response from these players quite yet. Time continues to tick down, and they're yet to even open up the breach. They'll also go down to evened out bodies and lose the Capital bolts to make matters worse. Your hard breachers down as well. Talk about adding insult to injury. As anytime you think it can't get worse, it does. These players cannot find joy for themselves, but Warden gets caught by Witarana as he flies in. Now leaving ourselves at a 3-all situation, but the defenders have the upper hand. They could decide to reinforce all of these walls, peel back completely. Force as much pressure as possible. Now, Witarana right now is the player that holds the cards. If he can get this kill, he's opened up the site for his team. It looks like nobody on Wild Boys is biting right now. They know how important it is to make sure to hold the site down, but it doesn't work. The pre-fire works, but Yeshua forces the case loose and gets that man count right down to even. Witarana forced to navigate the site by his lonesome while Flores looks for an entryway into the site that doesn't involve getting mixed head-to-head with a defender, and it doesn't work out in his favor. Squared gets rid of Shalto, and the Toxic Babe doesn't allow him to walk up to the site. Now the plant looks to go down. Now the pros don't fake. They need to do something here, and he has no choice but to stick that plant, but falls soon after. Wild Boys tie it up 4-all and look to take the lead for the first time by being able to do whatever the hell they want on the defensive side, as it's all working out, and we can tell why this is their map. $13P, I mean, you had the advantage. You needed to take it and run away with it, but right now, you fall short at each and every single turn. Hopefully, you're able to close things down. Otherwise, this is going to be a disaster for you guys. All the score, and Election now looking to just swoop in, take this as far as they can, and call it a night. They can end this out if they can take this map home, but it's still a tall order ahead of them. The last map we had that came back from 4-2 was ended in an 8-2 or an 8-7 split. So right now, these teams need to continue to keep going head to head without worrying about the scoreboard until it gets to that match point. But a timeout's already been called for one side. A little premature, but it got them on the right track as they've been looking a lot better since. To be able to continue to apply this pressure, but Shaltu gets Yeshua and then Yeshua onto K9. A little bit of double trouble there as the hard reacher goes down for the regenerative ability for the magnets. It's a bigger loss for the attackers than it is the defenders because they can mitigate the circumstances, but can't spawn in another hard breacher out of nowhere. Now you only have the ace to work with, and if you had plans for that Habana, well, abandon them because you're gonna have to be forced to kind of pivot. Go for something different. Now, a minute burned off the clock and nothing really presenting itself. C4 burned as well. The utility for the defense continues to just kind of thin as the time slowly but surely ticks down. They know a player's isolated here. If you can get rid of the snake, you can do something great. But Crispy, you need to be careful. The second you walk out of that room, your entire body could be shot. Just playing with fire there, but eventually falls off. Now Donut holding a very, very broken cross here, but backs off at the last second. Would have had that player dead to rights, but just doesn't bite. Shaltu now getting Donut, and this is finally the round that we can say goes in the favor of 13P as they've been struggling, but if they can get this round, change the directory of this map. Now where are the Volcans? Why has Goyo not been brought? Now they're going to struggle without those traps. They're going to struggle without that man advantage. They're going to struggle without that C4. Luckily for your late teammate, the difference is only one. Breaky evens the things out. As now, he was slower to kind of wake up to the call, but has been doing great ever since. Now, one player is in sight. The other is looking how to get into the sight. That TCSG, make no mistake, will shred your head off if you get into its crosshairs. Now, things still slow down for this team. Now, Square pre-fires before he goes full blind. And now, it's not a matter of can you win this, it's a matter of can you anchor down as hard as you can, as Tip will be held down by that Clash Shield. You just have to make sure Witarada doesn't make a play. Time continues to run down. Crispy rids of the pressure coming in from Briefing, meaning one player will come in from U Tower to make a play. All you got to do is killed off Squared, but you guys are just going to continue to feed him. A Clash left by your lonesome, all alone in the site. Where is the case? Witarana's retrieved it, and now it's all about what you can do in this situation to force it, but he's hopped off the plant. Too late to think about it. Crispy is gifted a round win. 13P, you could have stuck that. Why did you decide to give away the body? For both sides, disastrous on either end. But luckily, for Wild Boys Election, it'll swing in their favor. And now they're one round shy off the match point. Not the outcome you would have expected from a team like this, but here we are. Continue to go neck and neck, but Wild Boys Election slowly but surely are edging ahead of this team. Curious as to see what the idea here is for 13P to mitigate the circumstances, considering they're fighting with without some of their best operators, missing the Dokkaebi, the Monty, and the Snake, and being on the lesser preferred side of Fortress. You have to be able to kind of look for a different idea on how you want to find joy. Otherwise, maybe over before you even think on how you want to do it. all quiet while Twitch kind of dangles with fire, runs away, but doesn't really know how close her impending doom was. Guess we'll just stay here. Ever since Wamai has gotten his most recent buff, he's become one of the most preferred defenders in the game. Making it so, instead of nerfing everybody, you just buff everybody instead, and it seems to have worked. Now, it looks like they've recognized that there's EDDs all over the map, so they're going to have to be careful as they tread on in. 13P. Look to try to find something. Can they not see each other's heads? I'm very confused on what this standoff is because they're holding angles. Solus is lost about what's going on in the world. Hello? Donut. Not having a great game. Not really on his A game. This kills are necessarily being fed to the attacking team and not what you really want to hear, especially when you're 1 round shy of the match point. 13P have first blood, make that 2 as Shaltu doubles down. They continue to apply this pressure, and looks like there's no response right now from Election. Now the breach getting open square. You have the ability to do something great, but no one's there to watch her cross, and why do I have a feeling we're going to another OT? Election just continue to get caught out on the back heel each and every single time. To see how they'll be able to mitigate these circumstances, especially with this time ticking down. 45 seconds left, and Freaky, wrong moment to get aggressive. Triple kill from Crispy, but I mean, what can you do in this situation? You have all of these attackers swarming you. Not much you can really focus on, but the next round is it's all tied up yet again, and whoever wins this goes on to the match point regardless. Wild Boys Election. I mean, I don't usually give inspirational team talks. I'm not going to start today, but you guys have the potential to do something great after what you've just pulled off on that previous map. You guys need to be able to pull this off. Your players need to wake up. Speaking about how Donut wasn't at the top of his game in the beginning, and he woke up and got those kills and put in a shift to make sure his team felt the impact within the server, and now Donut's just relaxing. Really what you want to see. Hopefully you guys are able to kind of mitigate, because if you can't, then this game might be over faster than we can anticipate. What? Hello? Dude, we're 40 seconds in, man. What is this going to achieve? Arcing a C4 into the Abyss, apparently, but will only come into effect after everybody is post and dead on his side in that area of the map. So, curious as to see how that'll be utilized. Now, time is slowly but surely being run off the clock here, and looks like Yuka's just going to be able to walk in here. It doesn't seem like anyone's aware, but Azami already has a pre-shift Cuba, and it looks like Vreki does know. Will actually just steal off instead of beating him. 3 kills. The Glass can rip through a Cuba barrier while still having like 4 bullets to work with, and only need 2 to the chest to kind of go down, especially against the ODS. So, kind of smart to pull off in that specific moment. As time continues to run short and thin against these players, there's a lot left to do, and unfortunately they have enough time to do it in. Yeshua goes down first. Not what you want to see. Schultz is putting in a shift right now to make sure his team does not go home. Wild Boys Election. Guys need to pull something out of the hat if you want to be able to find succession. But right now you have a minute left and doesn't seem too cohesive right now. A very risky plant, to be honest. Or reach, to be honest, to go for a plant when you would have had the rotate. Freaky opens it up, gets rid of the Nomad. And Donut seems to be going for a flank. Question is it late? As the entire team looks to be progressing towards the site, but he looks to be on time. As there's a bulletproof camera to give away the comms, Yesh was dead, so he'll just watch it. It could actually work out for them. As the first Banshee gives it a comm, he thinks it's on the bathroom, but it's a miss. Dalsu now taking damage off of Central. Now Vreaky gets rid of Tiff, but the plant still goes down. Somebody needs to make a play. There's Crispy. He's still in the bath. He'll get 2 for 1. One goes down, and the entire team is massacred. I take it back. I didn't mean anything by saying that was a bad precept C4. It was a 4v5 essentially for the entire round. Warden sat in that bathtub, and he was rewarded with a kill and a down. Beautifully played out by a Wild Boys Election as they now have 1 round before it's lights out for 13P. Hopefully, we'll see some form of resistance from 13P because it's looking a little too easy right now. A little too easy for Wild Boys to take this home. 13P were putting up a fight, but right now it's just kind of falling slowly but surely as these guys can just not find joy through each and every round. This Clash has been an absolute unit. Now, Donut was forced off of this angle a couple of rounds ago and would have had 2 free kills if he had sat on it, so I feel like he's a little bummed out. So he's going to desperately hold it this time around. Previously, Wild Boys Election almost tossed this by giving away too many bodies. So they need to approach this round with the utmost careful approach to the site. Oh, no. Oh, no. One Selma already kind of burned by the magnet running it is absolutely tragic to use this early on. A drone would have prevented that as you need 3 Selma charges to open up briefing and the main wall. And now having 1 lesser charge is just going to make it all harder for you to progress towards the site, especially with this much fortification. Yeshua can find first blood. It's literally insult to injury, rubbing salt in the wound. But the positives is they've advanced onto the site. There's 90 seconds left on the board, and they've taken full control of every room, exterior to briefing. Now, at least they have can openers to mitigate the fact that they cannot use their Selmas now, but the second is also going to be used up as the impact is thrown out through the feed holes and will deny off. The clusters will come through. K9 opens it up. Squared will be the first to fall. Now, you can shoot the clusters as they're detonated, but first is shot. Now there's nothing to kind of lose as Breaky continues to try to save his own life as he was hit through the drone hole. A minute left on the clock here, and it looks like it's go time for these attackers. Now, Flash detected by these Grimbees and needs to be able to continue to keep that shield alive if Joy is wanted. Still no Goyo though, so you're gonna have to do everything manually. Tiff gets rid of another player, and it looks like Election finally is going to drop around. The plant looks to go down. K9 gets rid of Donut, and now it'll be stuck down. We are going to go to OT back to back. Beautifully executed by 13P to push us another round. In a similar way to Border, both these teams need the extra rounds to prove a victor. But this time, it's to prove if we need a third map, or if 13P go home with nothing. Not really what you want to see on your final round or your potential final round, but they've managed to close this out in OT before. Now it's all about their OT sides that really differentiate how they want to play. They need all the help they'll get. They'll start off on the defense and they'll finish it if this goes to all 15 like it did previously. 13P. You guys had a 6-4 lead and you lost that in regulation. This time your olive branch was your differential. You were only down by 1 round before having to push for OT. Use that to your advantage and continue to push this team to the max. Otherwise, this is going to be over a lot faster than you think. Doing the prereqs to get in the building, get the job done, but still all quiet. Both of these teams look to continue to apply this pressure. As time slowly but surely runs down. A minute burned off the clock here. 6-all. Don't worry, except for run the clock down and hope for the best. Glaz has been pivotal right now for establishing good amounts of pressure onto the site, so hopefully we're able to continue to apply the pressure. Replay C4 has proved to be very effective recently, especially because it's on the feet on the player that would have been there. But still, your ace is spared as now they're still left to get the breach open and kind of close the distance down. There's a player lurking in Master. If they swing out, it'll be a problem. Now, previously, Donut had been lurking on the IO scanner and trying to flank from Laundry, and with too much time, by the time he got to the site, his team had handled it and they had won the round. This time, all the health is starting to be shaved off slowly but surely, so I can't say you'll find the same type of joy. You just need to hope that your team's the one that opens up with the pick. Otherwise, it might be a little disastrous. Now, he's waiting to flank, but fortunately for him, all the drones are being prioritized onto the site to find the next area of play. Now Shaltu will fall first, so good graces of this team to continue as he overpowers all of the hallway, then backs off because he knows how much pressure is applied now onto the attackers to push on through the briefing breach. C4 shot out the air, meaning no easy denial, and Tiff gets an easy one-tap to get into the breach. Now, yes, one knows where the plant's going down. You just have to keep spraying. You have 10 seconds to do it right. Squared goes down, and the plant will also go down. Disastrous but a 3v3 post-plant situation gives you the chance to be able to bring this back. You need to wait for the smoke to subside. Otherwise, this is disastrous. Now Juka continues to fight out from the corner and get rid of all these players, and Donut finally is sprung into action. You're waiting too long. You have to go now. Otherwise, it's over. He'll hit a long-range shot. Now time is still in your favor, but not for long. As you're pre-firing absolutely nothing. The teammates have taken all of the brunt of the damage for you, waiting for an eventual flank, but no, it has never come. You're gonna have to deal with that as you go for a counter defuse that you don't even have enough time to do. You'll get the triple, but I mean, what does it mean at this point as Tirana finishes you off to add insult to injury and 13P going to the match point? $13P. You guys have done it again. One more round and you go to the third. Or you fight against WBZ Election again, you go 7-7. We've only played 2 maps and we are getting close to 30 overall rounds played. It's absolutely insane. Same site, but the only thing that's different is sides flipped. $13P now have the ability to push themselves onto bank where we've seen them perform. We know how well coordinated they really are. Wow, solo casting really does get to you. My God. If you're wondering why I go a little bit quiet during the round, it's because I'm trying to conserve my voice. Speaking for 3 hours, not very fun, especially when you've just done 2 other casts previous. Don't want to skip out on anything, so don't worry. I'll still deliver the energy, but let's recuperate a little bit to conserve ourselves because there might be another 15 rounds left to go, and I'll absolutely lose my mind because my bedtime is 10 p.m. Guess what? It's 10:20. Who cares about work? A minute burned off the clock here, and Freaky almost meeting his maker, but given another point of HP onto his life, and Finka will have 2 more surges to deliver for the remainder of the round to continue to slowly but surely establish that health back up to where it started. Now Donut playing on the support role. It starts off beautifully for WBZ Election as they'll get their first pick. Time, slowly but surely, goes in the favor of Election because now they have a full 90 seconds to sit back, relax, use those surges to get your shield operator back to full speed and establish what you want to do to get the job done. That being said, you need to get rid of the clash. Surely a win condition in this area because by focusing on the shield, you'll dump all the util you have and completely ignore those yokais that this Echo possesses that could deny the plant. So you have one of 2 options. You get rid of the shield and the yokais, or you kill everybody in sight. Now Clash almost getting that swing around to get rid of this player, but the flash permanently will deter from going for that gunfight. Now Echo going down, that's a blunder, but yes, we're finally taken out. Slowing down the gun advantage, but K9 gets rid of Square, but in the meantime, Freaky goes big. A 2v3. K9 and Shaltu. You have such a tall order ahead of you. C4 wide. Only a point of damage off of Crispy. You live to tell the tale. Donut goes down from the player that sits in the depths of the hallway. Will fall back out to Horse. to be the saving grace of his team. There's a two-man pinch, and having just one shield operator makes it so much harder as the case is not in your possession. The two remaining defenders playing keep away perfectly, but right now, Shaltu is temporarily isolated. If you have a comm on him, it becomes a lot easier to make this work. They're playing keep away with these remaining two. Ash, you need to win your gunfight here. Time is not in your favor, but you're hitting everything but the target. Blackbeard misses the mag as well. 13P! Bank will be required for the third and final map of the night. The Ash forgot her controller at home. And golly my god, I have better aim than that. We cannot be serious. I have finished 2 of these for the entirety of this best of 3. Are we serious? 2 overtimes, back to back, now leaving Bank to be the proving grounds for either team to advance on to the quarterfinals. Don't go anywhere, grab a quick refresher, and we'll be back after this quick break. Map 3 awaits us, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a long damn journey. We've started from map 1 all the way until now, where our graphics finally work. Border ended 7-8 in the favor of WBZ Election, now 8-6 in the favor of 13P, meaning we need all 3 maps to establish who can take this home and who is going home with absolutely nothing. There is no lower bracket, meaning this ends only one way. Let's see who has what it takes to show us the best team in general. I'm so excited to see how this will end up, especially after the aim that Ash had. The words need to be had. But without further ado, the players are ready, and so are we. So let's get straight into this. Lots of Siege left to play. I don't know if I have another map in me, guys. I gotta get some motivation. I was looking at this energy drink and really pondering if I wanted to drink it, but I'm really like fighting each and every urge not to shotgun a C4 energy drink at 10:30 p.m. Self-control, you know what I mean? But I mean, after seeing 2v2, your entire game depends on this. You miss an entire mag. We have some words to be had, my friend. Things need to be said here and now, otherwise it's gonna haunt my nightmares. Now, you take a look at this roster, and you think, oh god, these guys are screwed. Yes, I tried singing. Yes, there was 85 voice cracks. Every single denial operator is on the board. They got rid of Echo and Cade, but everybody else remains. And to make matters worse, you have the best player on Election running around on a frag. Oh god. Oh god, oh god, oh god. But knowing 13P, they're insanely coordinated. So I give credit where credit is due, but there is a lot left to do for these guys, and they need to be able to deliver it with the utmost performance. Otherwise, they get picked apart one by literally Yeshua running around the map, SMG 12 spraying. As they're about to tell, if this player doesn't hear him in the corner, it's the easiest pick ever. But he does! You know why? Because 13P are the greatest players on Earth! Yeshua falls so easily. And my observer PC even went down. I'm kidding, that was just me and a monster. But what a way to get the job done. Now all you need to do is continue to apply this pressure and you'll find joy. Hopefully these guys can continue to beeline it towards the site because they have nothing to worry about on the hatches unless they have an Aruni to trick it. But that is very tech, and that requires a lot of player, let's say, prioritization onto one area of the map to make sure that they can deny that hatch actively. Now 90 seconds remain, and there's still so much left to do, and with little to no pressure, Squared gives up blue and falls on the hatch recovery. Blunder and a half for a team that has so much access. Now you have the Goyo in Garage, can deliver those long-term gunfights with the TCSG in its scope, and Mira can watch the easy default plant if the player decides to come closer into server. But as all of the Vulcans have been exhausted this early on, you're going to have a problem because they only burn for 20 seconds, not a minute. So the Shmikas are secondary, but the Shmikas take more time to detonate, they kind of last less, and they also are a lot harder to continue to apply the pressure. Now time surely just continues to slowly tick down against these players. Also committed to watching the flank, but luckily for him, not a single defender has the idea of flanking, because one holds the C4, the other holds the Shmikas, and the other has the long-range gunfight. So everybody has a position and a job to do on site, meaning the player who is watching the Lord can try to walk down Marble and find some easy kills as these Kendalls continue to rain on in. Somebody needs to plant, but you can't do it with the mirrors. Now, putting it in smoke, you look to try to do something here. Habana hits the backstab perfectly. The plant looks to go down. This is cinema from 13P. A flawless round. Arguably the best execute I've seen in a while. All the way back since Franklin qualified for Tier 2. 13P play that beautifully. Chef's kiss as Wild Boys Election have no response despite having so much utility stacked up. Wow, that round was absolute cinema and made up for most of the shenanigans we saw in Fortress. Continues to apply that pressure, and I'm loving what we're seeing so far. They just need to substantiate every future hold, hopefully. First blood in the favor of We Tirana. A little too easy. Desi goes down quite with literally no opposition. Losing a defender, especially on this site, is a little heartbreaking to see. Time slowly but surely ticking down. 13P have a lot left to do, and getting first pick is the great sign of first progression, and to find a second kill off of your Lurk is absolutely amazing. There's too many players off of site, especially for a hold where you still have Mira intact. Shaltu takes care of Squared. And is this just going to be a one-sided affair for the remainder of the game? Did you guys spend all the time in the world to push to the third map just to get destroyed? Surely not. Surely we're dreaming. Somebody pinch me right now, because there's still so much left to do and this team cannot find joy. The plant goes down, they'll get a kill, but it's empty. It's instantly met with a headshot from the Zofia waiting for you on the window. 13P now go up 2 rounds. I mean, it's a lot more one-sided than I would have thought, but I'm not going to say anything yet because we've learned from our mistakes on border that literally anything can happen between these teams this early. So we'll have to see what the idea is between the rosters, what they want to do, what they want to get on the board. Otherwise, it might be a one-sided affair, but I mean, we can never know until the game delivers a result. recoil there, Chris? I think mine's better than that. K9 now. Looking to find solo Lurkin. Might be able to find Joy here. Donut getting shredded off. What's going on here, guys? Might be a little bit too one-sided for you to be able to bring it back. They know someone's in blue. It's an interesting take on how to hold it, but I mean, you need a frag to deter him from swinging it. Now, there's so much left to do for you guys. I know your basement idea was... Question is, what are you guys gonna do? We're gonna ADS the Shielder? And he's gonna win the gunfight? We're taking the piss. I can say that. That's my stream. Are you serious, Squared? You have a shotgun. How about we deliver the fatal blow to the face? It's the whole point of the shotgun. First Vulcan detonated. No fuse to get rid of these players. But the default hard breach is going to make it so much harder to walk in and plant. This time around, they didn't place the default Mira, so the player will be able to gain access to site, but after the flames from the Vulcan subside, there's still one left in reserve and one burning actively, meaning they're gonna have to eat it or go upstairs to drop on closer to the HS. Now Shaltu follows up and gets rid of Yeshua. They have so much space, so much utility, and yet they can do nothing against 13P for a series that went overtime in both maps. It does not seem to be so on this third and final, as it's so one-sided. I mean, 13P is just cleaning house. There's absolutely no responses from Wild Boys Election. It seems like in the phases between the second and third map, they fell asleep at the wheel. Yes, they've made some personnel changes, but that was 2 maps ago. That's not a viable excuse, guys. You need to wake up. I mean, I'm left at a loss of words. I don't think I've ever said the words, "You have to be taking the piss" on broadcast. I don't think I've ever said it. I'm a little bit more laid back because it's mine, but I've never seen a Blitz ADS down a Warden and win the interaction. You just can't be serious. Some interesting things have been seen. Composure being kept all together because 13P continue to keep their foot on the gas. Now they have the sends, which pushes me towards a little bit of a faster executed plant. So much left to do for 13P, but I mean, the way they've been playing, has been honestly sublime. I mean, the way they kind of always play off of each other, we've seen it in the first and second maps, but it isn't really displayed on maps like Border and Fortress because of how close some of the gunfights are. But on a map like Bank, where external play is always in a factor, where getting the hatches open and ridding of the utility is always going to be a factor, is always something that comes into account for teams like 13P. We've seen them play in group stages on a map like Bank. We've seen them play on bigger maps like Cafe, where it warrants the attackers to coordinate a lot better to find joy. So we know what they're capable of, and as you can tell, it works so well for them. They've been able to hit the gap so easily within the first minute of the round. You have Nook just waltzing into Archives, taking down 2 players before falling and calling it a day, and now the Nook can sit on cameras, provide comms, as Shaltu sits with absolutely no chips on his shoulder. He's 8-1 within the server and looking to continue to apply that pressure, as time is not a problem for these attackers, but getting caught off guard should be, as they just continue to get isolated. Crispy able to get away with murder. Was a 5v3 at one point, but has completely shifted as all the players are isolated within square, leaving just Juka outside of Stock and Electrical to make something happen. Had to come back down from Stock, get into Electrical to isolate the gunfights. Might have had the entry into the building, but trades on the down. A second chance at life, but robbed at the last second. Question is this a fluke round, or can 13P continue to get dismantled throughout each and every round? Because we know what Wild Boys Election are capable of, but we haven't seen their peak self since that first map where we had the original 5. I mean, if we take a look at the stats that we had pre-match for these guys, Wild Boys Election were only sitting at 9th. They had 3 wins in regulation, 3 losses in regulation, and 1 loss in OT. And they were sitting at a 51.5% win rate, and their differential was in the negatives. It's getting worse. And their points per match is going to get worse because they're going to get knocked out of this league. Their top fragger, the player that you expect to do the best, has not been going positive this entire night. You need to be able to find success in other players if your fragger isn't up to the task. But looking on the other side of the coin, I mean, you have Weetaron at a 29 in 10 count up until now, and he's been delivering double digits on both maps, even losing one of them. The question is, what can you do to continue with those double digits? Because Wild Boys Elections, I mean, we're not really seeing much from them. Aside from the one timeout they called that completely shifted their tone on Fortress, it's gotten a lot quieter, and their endurance has been slowing down, making this a lot harder for them to keep up like 13P has. K9 already finding access. And if you guys missed the pre-show, an FYI, 3 of these players on 13P are EU. Don't know how that's allowed, but I mean, they're the ones that have delivered the highest kills. They're sitting at 120 to 150 ping average. And they are being able to find themselves in the building within 3 seconds. One of them, who's EU, is currently 8-1. The other one dropped 15 on map 1. So they obviously have an understanding to the game. Kind of like European football compared to American soccer. But I digress. Let's play the different sport. Now, Donut gets rid of K9. And speaking of, I mean, I could use a soccer stream. You could say, I mean, 13P likes to park the bus on defense, and they go for a full press the second they hop on the attack, which it usually works for them because of how coordinated they really are. Wild Boys kind of determine the outcome of the round by the amount of aggression that they can warrant in a short span of time, whether it be Yeshua flying out a window or Desi swinging with his MP7 that he so loves on Fenrir. It's solely dependent on the factors of the round and not the team play. So, Wild Boys Election, I mean, you have the opportunity to tell us what you think is the outcome of this round. You're on the defense, and this is one of your last rounds where you'll be able to defend. So, you gotta show us what you have in the pocket. Square delivering a blow onto Shaltu, but Juka follows that up. Not a direct refrag, but a kill in blood to be able to bring it back. You need to be able to hit that head at the range, and Deimos does so perfectly. Now leaving it in a 3-all man count. You know there's a player sitting near Stock. the frag to deter. There's still so much time left for them to get in the building. You may think 50 seconds isn't a lot, but for a team sitting at 3-all, 2 frags, and the control of the windows, only 1 C4 to deal with. Take that bandit out and you'll find so much joy. Now Tiff trying to isolate, but not expecting a player to be lurking on Marble. It's too easy. Desi gets rid of Tiff now, just leaving a 2v3 situation, but Juka evens it out and almost goes big for 2. Has the sight, but has one roadblock being Crispy first. His team does not check their corners, and they pay the price every time. As the bandit gets easily isolated, but we just overestimating where he'll be. And the pre-fire is stuck like glue to that area. Wild Boys Election win their second round. And one more before we go to the halftime split. Closer and closer to the end of the night, but these two teams never, and I mean never, stop coming back for more. Pressure just continues to apply to either side. I correct myself, as Shaltu is Canadian, a brother of mine, not EU, so it is just K9 and in Toronto. Anyways, Scopo's being brought for the first time this entire series is a little refreshing to see, as I do sometimes think if Vigil wasn't a direct counter to Solid Snake, Scopos could be arguably the best roamer in the game. You're given 2 shells to 100 HP, you're given an AR, Aruni's passive ability, and 2 impacts. What more could you ask for on the roam? As long as you don't get headshotted, you're basically risk-free. Now, there's so much that I could say about what we saw on Border, but I feel like the main takeaways that we saw was, again, Wild Boys thrives in an environment where they're under pressure constantly, but 13P are always calculated, and those calculations just don't work on smaller maps. Somehow Wild Boys have been able to strike back on Bank twice now by just sitting in corners and waiting for 13P to come to them. Their drone game has not been on point for a map like Bank, and they have to slow things down, reevaluate until they switch on to the attack. 4-2 split would be favorable for them, but a 3-all would be a little concerning. Shaltu doing everything in his power to ensure that does not happen. But Squared has something to say about that as these players continue to drop like flies, but K9 will find himself in the middle of the site and may be able to catch this castle off before he swings. It's an instant refrag. Wild Boys Election clean house. A flurry of orange kills in the feed as they'll tie it up and switch on to the attacking side. All tied up at the half. Now, we do adhere to console rules, which is a faster form of playstyle. I think next season they'll implement a 2-minute halftime break, but usually in the earlier stages of playoffs, teams aren't really too adamant about having 2 whole minutes to talk about at the half, especially when they don't have a coach. So it's a little bit faster and our games are more streamlined, but that could also be in the negatives because these teams also aren't given the opportunity to slow down, think about what they can do on their opposing side to clean up their act. So 13P maybe they're not having what they expected on attack, so they'll have to switch things up on the defense, but they don't have those 2 minutes to do so, so a timeout needs to be called if they do want to do so. The bans do come in, which means they'll have to play without Kaid and the Mira. Very identical to what we saw when 13P was the one attacking, but Mira was left until the third and final ban. Now, Tabaro is a very, very interesting pick because he'll just delay the time for whatever is about to happen, whether it be a cluster charge being detonated, a Rotero charge, a Blackbeard trying to walk into the site, or even a hatch being open. It temporarily delays the fact. Now, that might work if Tirana is going to be a Rooney tricking, where you can put a Surya Gate on the top of the hatch, and then you can stand on top of it, fall back down when you hear something getting placed, so it instantly breaks it, which it does seem to be the case. It does use up your Surya Gates, and you cannot reactivate them until the hatch has been opened up, but the potential chance to get rid of so much utility can do the job. They have 6 can openers. I take this back. Those Surya tricks are just going to get rid of 2 at best. Yes, seemingly knowing what the hold is right now in blue. Surprisingly, no Amaya Jaeger to kind of assist the player that sits in blue stairs. No shield as well, just barbed, which could help with a shield operator, but guess what? There isn't any. Could shoot 13P in the foot if they realize that all the utility will just be flying at their faces, especially with a fuse as well. Jago payload being delivered to K9's phone. It looks like he wants to use cams for the remainder of the round, so will not decide to eat the damage that comes from them. Time still just slowly ticking down. Squared first to find access into the building with the Overwatch Halo from Yeshua, as they'll slowly but surely kind of trot through open area. K9 receiving his second Jago payload of the round. And the attackers have a very fine restriction on this map, but if they can clear the player out of E2, then they'll have a great job to be able to use all of this mid-floor as a canvas to establish your forms of pressure. By getting rid of all of these areas these defenders can hide in, you can establish a good and easy plant, but that also requires getting rid of blue, as you have a minute left to get rid of a DMR that sits on the door of server and a Smoke who's having a great jolly old time on the top of blue stairs with literally nobody interacting with him. Brings into question what the idea is. That hatch was left soft? Maybe running out of reinforcements, but finally Juka goes down without even using the remaining 2 Toxic Babes. 45 seconds now to get the job done. This team has had a wrench thrown in their plans. They no longer have a Goyo to work with. It just wasn't brought to the roster. They preferred to keep the hatches closed temporarily instead. And they might pay the price for that because the Fuse is now realizing he's just clearing absolutely no utility. You're emptying all of your bullets into a beam. And Glaz just shoots 1 bullet and it takes half the health off of Tirana, leaving Squared to plant now with the full coverage of his team. Tiff, you need to throw that C4 now. You have a millisecond to detonate it and he gets it. Absolutely astonishing that somehow, some way, 13P are able to win this round in the dying embers of it. Not what you would expect, especially after 2 picks in the favor of the attackers and also them establishing garage pressure. You would think that's a situation where no attacker should lose, but you're mistaken. 13P reclaim the lead and are now 2 off of the match point. back upstairs we go. This time we see Wamai and Castle. It looks like they're taking it seriously this time around. Hopefully 13P are able to take the lead by 2 this time, because we know they are notorious closers. Every time it stays as a 1-round back-to-back, it always has a longer ending. And it always takes so much longer to get to the ending of the series. But I digress. Both these teams have fought insanely hard to get to this point. And can you believe this is only round 1 of the playoffs, meaning whoever is victorious gets to go on to play the quarterfinalist. And any quarterfinalist that you go to play already has a bye because they placed top 4 in the global standings. And that means they placed top of their group within this league. Taking out Maru Rush? We're not serious. I don't think I've ever seen a Maru in any leagues. Oh. Drones, sometimes, you know, they bounce back off a glass. They're testing me. They're testing me. Yeshua now planting his feet onto these windows. So worst case, a C4 is sent in. He can EMP them out the sky, and Squared can try to get this case down. But that also deprives the attack of a gun, and it also deprives them of the Thatcher as he gets fried off the window. And throwing a wrench into their plan so easily makes this a lot harder for Wild Boys Election to kind of abide by the rush that they were trying to go to. Flashes rain on in. No Warden, but a lot of C4s and players waiting below. I mean, I can't imagine it works out in their favor. A down will be successful. Squared goes down to 1 HP. The case left loose in the middle of the site. Desi to add insult to injury. Finish off a player with the Jago payload. But essentially a 4v2 unless some players can reestablish a separate area on the map to get this player up. But they know he's down, so aggression is warranted in this area. Azami being gifted an olive branch by being able to hurdle the desk and finish off the player. That's down. Now the Glaz gets hip fired and the Claymore doesn't go off. An ending of all time if this is how the pacing ends out this series. 13P are 1 round off from the match point and 2 away from closing this out. Wild Boys Elections, they keep trying different things at the wrong times, and it could be the end of them if they continue to abide by these views. Whoever goes on to win this game, sorry, I was just getting confirmation, goes on to play OPM Zemfi K, who placed 2nd in the global standings, 1st in their respective group, and they also are sitting at 6 regulation wins in 1 overtime loss, meaning they walked away with 22 points. They've only lost 12 rounds in 7 matches. That is an insane stat line to think about. So whoever wins this has their work cut out for them. And they need to be able to deliver something. Otherwise, it might be a long, long battle just for a bittersweet ending. I'm trying to think, isn't that the Superstar team? It is. That's the half PC converts back to console and content creator team. You have Zemfi, Zellaway, Isolation, Saint, Jamal. What? Jamal. A good buddy of mine who just loves streaming but also wants to get into leagues as well, which is the beauty of console, where you get to kind of mix and see what's going on between teams. I mean, it was Timid who started off on console, switched over. It was NBA Gino who also did the same. Franklin, Mingo. You had so many players who started off in console leagues. Some similar to these, some in these leagues, and even in the Rival Roller Series to find joy and success. And Let's see how far it takes you by winning Tier 2 as a controller player, or as Franklin, I mean, the GOAT IGL of Tier 2. Donut looking to get rid of a player who sits in ATMs, but it seems like Shaltu has absolutely no ideas. Lurking, looking for a drone, and gets caught off guard. An easy kill provided. Now 13P have to mitigate the circumstances, knowing they have to operate with a man down for the rest of the round, despite it being so early on. Main idea is now to clear out the player who sits in stock. Almost falling to anybody who's lurking up, because the Grim is also involved by getting in to Loans and just waiting for somebody to make a move. They'll meet again on the gunfights, this time in Elevator. Things begin to quiet down while either team go back to the drawing board and think about what is the better move for the time that continues to run down. Full verticality being established. The payloads still being delivered on the front doorstep of Tiff, who has to decline. Being in a confined space like Elevator makes it a lot harder to respond. Yeshua now getting a kill to give his team a two-man advantage. You guys need to hold on to that for dear life to ensure that this doesn't go to match point, as it looks to continue to be a prophecy fulfilled as every player continues to fall for 13P. A flawless round is what dictates this game to continue to keep going neck and neck. Match point denied, and Wild Boys Election have something to say about it. They'll close down the deficit to just one round. We either go to max regulation, or we go to overtime for the third time tonight, or 13P close it out. .13P. Now, they have the pleasure of defending the basement site. They did such a great job at being able to attack it. The question is, what does it look like when the roles are reversed? They've already won it once. The parameters have reset. Now they just have to continue to apply the pressure onto Election until they crumble. Shaltu now currently sitting at a 3 KD within the server. These guys continue to surprise me. I don't think there's a map where he has not dropped double digits, by the way. Continuously just showing us why he single-handedly take his team across the finish line, whether they want it or not. He wants it. That's all that matters. As they just apply pressure in and throughout each and every round. They never give up. Even if the rounds don't succeed in the way they think, they're on to the next, thinking about how they can improve. That's what makes a team absolutely amazing. Now Shaltu sitting in E2, but first points of damage will be dealt to Luca via the gas pipes. We going for a run out, knowing somebody's on the rappel, but they're smarter than that, we. I know you're hungry for it. Haven't been awake really since that border map, but has been putting in the pain by playing the operators that his team needs. Hopefully they're able to build off of this. Now Juka, do not swing. Something that he's done twice, giving up his body in blue, both once on the attack and once on the defense. Maybe to take a turn, to learn from those lessons, take back a little bit of passiveness and peel off when you feel the pressure is too great. 90 seconds remain, and the question is, have they droned the sentry who sits on Kansan? Seems like the answer is no right now because he's just sitting and relaxing, but now dashing to get to the hatch. Shaltu saves his teammate's life, and K9 peels off. It took 70 seconds to look for this player, and you'll only have 60 left when it comes to trying to get an execute, and you've lost a player as well. Make it your Nomad, make it 20 times worse. A minute left. 13P. Have this in the bag. All they have to do is rely on the utility. Toxic Babes are in abundance. C4 sitting close with your Wincon, who can see through the smokes and the flashes that are soon to come. They start to approach slowly but surely towards the site. So much left for Wild Boys Election to do, and not a lot of time to do it in. The favors are not in their area. They're not in their corner. King himself, Shaltu, looks to continue to deny Marble, but it'll be Wichirana that gets aggressive, wins the gunfight. It's the case! The case goes down on Marble, meaning the attackers have to scramble to win their ones. It'll temporarily work, but guess what? They still have the numbers. Somebody has to drop. In the red time, absolutely nothing to do but protect that case with their life, and it'll work out. 13P go on to the match point. Twitch blunders the round by solo pushing Marble with the case at the last second. A questionable play, but will only have to answer to his teammates if they cannot cinch this round to push it to max regulation, as 13P come knocking on their door, but a timeout is called in the meantime.